Hi, fourth grade friends. Today we're going to need your math notebook, items to take notes with, and then we're going to look over our math homework from last night, so you need a correcting pen to do that. So let's do that first. All right. So we had numbers 1 through 5 on the front. Number 1. Some ways you might have decomposed this were 1/8 plus 3/8, or you might have said 2/8 plus 2/8. That's pretty much it. Down below, you might have done 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 2/8, or those in any order too. All right. Then number 2, you might have done 4/10 plus 3/10, or you might have said 6/10 plus 1/10, or 5/10 plus 2/10. Or and then down below for 3, 4/10 plus 2/10 plus 1/10. Then 2/10 plus 3/10 plus 2/10 was another option we thought of in class. 5/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10, 3/10 plus 3/10 plus 1/10. Those are all the options we thought of. Number 3, you should have done any number. There didn't need to be a certain number because there was no boxes. So you might have done both of these as 2, both of these as 3. Okay, either one's fine. Some options we thought of in class were 1/5 plus 3/5, 2/5 plus 2/5, 2/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. And that was kind of the most, pretty much what we thought of. Number 4, you probably only got through these ways. 2/10 plus 1/10, and then 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10. Those are the only ways. Then number 5, this one you might have done 4/4 plus 1/4, or you might have done 1/4 plus 2/4 plus 2/4, decompose that 4/4. Or you might have said 3/4 plus 2/4, knowing that this is really 5/4, and then 3/4, 1/4, and 1/4. Then on the back, number 10, what you needed to do was write 2 different ways that we could have had 5/8 for the blue shorts or white shorts, 2 groups. So you might have done 3/8 plus 2/8, 1/8 plus 4/8. That's pretty much it. You might have just flipped these around either way. All right. Then 14 and 15 down on the bottom. 14 wanted you to solve the ways that do not decompose. This one is not 1 3/4, and this one is not because that would be 2 1/2, and the fractions don't match. It'd be half instead of fourths. Up here, this one you wanted to say all the ways that could. So all of them except for this last one. Because even though this would be 1 3/4, it's not 1 3/8, so we need it to be the eighths. So that's what we did to start off math. Then I've got a nice warm-up problem for you. Since it's fresh in our mind, let's think about our decomposing numbers. Okay, so I want you to practice decomposing 9. Pause the video while you practice that. All right, then you might have decomposed this and said this could be 8/10 plus 1/10. Or you might have done 7/10 plus 2/10, or 6/10 plus 4/10, 5/10 plus 5/10. Or then you start flipping back, right? You would have done 4/10 plus 6/10. Then you might have done, I missed 3 in there, didn't I? Or you might have done 3/10 plus, not 4, 6. Oh my goodness. This one would have been 6. This would have been 6 and 3. That's why. 6, 3 plus 6 would be 9. And this one would have gone back to 2. 2/10 plus 7/10. And I'm back to 8/10. Well, 1/10 plus 8/10. All right. So that's what we kind of started with. And today we're going to talk about adding fractions. So we have a nice joke to get us started, math humor. And it's a 1/2 here with a shovel and a 1/2 here with a shovel. And to the left one saying, hey, let's make one whole. It's a nice pun because we know that if we put two halves together, it would make one whole. But they're also digging, so it's like a hole. You get it? Yeah, my friends in class didn't think it was funny, but I did. All right. So we are going to start with some notes today. And we're going to talk about adding fractions. Okay? Almost. There we go. All right. So 5, 25, 21. We are adding fractions, and I need to adjust this. There we go. A little bit more. There we go. Sorry, not quite there. All right, adding fractions. Remember, at any point I'm going fast, you can pause the video. So, adding fractions with the same denominator. To do this, we keep the denominator the same and add the numerators. So our bottoms are going to stay, and we just add across. So here's an example. We have 1/4 plus 1/4. We keep our denominator as the 4, and we just add across. 1 plus 1 is 2. Think, what do you also know about 2/4? Well, from our equivalent fraction talk, we know that 2/4 is equal to 1/2. So we can use equivalent fractions here to help us do something really important in fractions. Okay? We'll get into that in a little bit. Sometimes we have to put a fraction into simplest form. To do this, we're going to use division to make an equivalent fraction, just like we kind of did up here naturally. We know that we could divide both of those by 2 to go smaller. Okay? So, let's take a look at a practice problem. This is one time that we can simplify. When we add 3/6 plus 3/6, we know 3 plus 3 is 6, and we keep our denominator. So we do get 6/6 as our answer. But that's not our best answer. We want to put it in the best way we can. So then we know that that has to equal 1. 6/6 is a whole. So I want you to try this one. Let's do 3/8 plus 3/8. What does that equal? Well, 3/8 plus 3/8 equals 6/8. But I know something about 6 and 8. I know that they are both even numbers. I'm thinking through our division. Can I do anything to divide both of these? I can divide both of them by 2. I can divide by 2 halves. What would that give us? What would our simplest form of 6/8 be? Oh, yeah, it would be 3/4. Because 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Then I know that this is as low as it can go, because nothing can go into 3 and 4. All right, let's look at a practice problem here. I want you to try one more with me, okay? This time, we're going to add 2/5 plus 3/5 plus 2/5. Follow our rules. Add across the top and keep your denominator. What do you get as your answer for this fraction problem as the sum? You should get 7/5. But we know that 7/5 is an improper fraction. It's not very nice. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't follow the rules. So to do this, we're going to use a little division. And we are going to set up a division problem to figure out what this equals. So we know that 7/5. We're going to set up a division sign. And underneath goes our numerator. I always like to remember the numerator goes to the refrigerator, so it's inside the house. then the denominator is knocking on the door. Okay? So now we set up our division problem. And we think, how many 5s can go into 7? Well, it can go in 1 time. 1 times 5 is 5. And we subtract, and that gets us 2. Now we know that we could have a remainder of 2. But since we're working with fractions, instead of saying remainder 2, we're going to turn this 2 into part of a fraction with our mixed number. So our answer, our new fraction, is going to be our whole number, so that 1. Our 2 is going to come up and be the numerator. Whatever we're left with becomes our numerator. And then our denominator stays the same. What was it before? Yeah, it was 5. So instead of saying 7/5, we could say 1 2/5. And that's what we got. And then I just have my work over there too. We did that in class. Awesome. All right. So what you are going to do is you are going to practice with these 9 math problems. And you're going to just pause the video and you're going to look over these 9 problems and we'll come back and tell you the answers. All right. So we had 1/3 plus 1/3 gets us 2/3, and that is simplest form. 2/6 plus 3/6 is 5/6, and that is simplest form. 6/10 plus 1/10 is 7/10. That's simplest. 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3/4. 2/5 plus 2/5, well, that would equal 4/5, and that is simplest too. 3/4 plus 1/4 we got was 4/4, but you would be watching and notice that isn't better. There's a better way to say 4/4 as 1/2. Then we have 3/8 plus 2/8 gets us 5/8, and that is simplest form. 5/8 plus 1/8 is 6/8, but you might have noticed that those are even numbers, and we could divide by 2 again and say that the simplest form would be 3/4. Then 2/6 plus 1/6 we know is 3/6, and you should catch on that 3/6 we remember from our equivalent fractions is equal to 1/2. Awesome. All right. So that's what we did in class today. So your math homework is going to be page 481 and 482. Numbers 1 through 21. So the whole first page and like 4 on the back. And then 24 on the very bottom. You should try and simplify and get them as low as you can. Okay? Let me know if you have questions. Otherwise, talk to you soon. Bye.